short a couple of commissioners, but one of them I know is tied up in traffic, so I don't know where the other two are. Welcome to the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission meeting of November the 9th, 2022. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Seeger.
Here.
Ress.
Here.
McInnes. Here. Willie.
Here.
Doherty.
Here.
Barcelona.
Here.
Fitzmaurice.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Smale. Randolph. Truxillo. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Public announcements, please silence all phones and electronic devices. If you disagree with a decision this commission makes, you have the right to appeal it to the council. If you wish to speak on an item, you must fill out a speaker card, and they're on the railing over here at the right, and turn it into staff, and they will get it up here to us so we can recognize you. Public speaking, 10 minutes each side, 5 minutes for rebuttal. After your case is heard, you're welcome to exit the building, but don't go out in the lobby there because the sound that goes back in. Please rise for the invocation by Commissioner Crawford and the pledge by Commissioner Willis.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and for all of our many blessings. We give our thanks and praise to you, and we ask for your continued blessings and safekeeping for ourselves and our families. We thank you for this commission. Thank you for the residents that are here that we serve. Thank you for our staff and for all of our parish workers. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready to start?
All right, man. Traffic and stuff. Yep. Yeah, a little bit. You all good?
All right, for the commissioners, you had minutes from September 13th meeting in your packet. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review them. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve. Commissioner Crawford.
Second the motion?
Second by Commissioner Crawford. Please vote.
Ms. McInnes. The motion to approve carries.
Thank you. Helen, I know we got some postponements and withdrawals, so I'll let you call them off and I'll mark them and then we'll read them.
Item number 5 on page 2, 2022-3021 MRP.
Okay. This particular case is 2022-3021-MRP. It's under re-subdivision review. Re-subdivision of plots 13, 15, and 18 of Lancaster subdivision, a portion of the dedicated road right-of-way, 3.12 acres and 1.44 acres into plots 13A, 13B, 15A, 18A, 18B, Lancaster subdivision, and parcels D1 and D2. Owner representative is Donald R. Jenkins. Surveyor is Randall W. Brown and Associates. Parish Council District Representative is Riker Toledano. General location, the property is located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 1088, west of Hickory Street, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 5. Mr. Shane?
We have a request to postpone till January. Sorry to interrupt you.
Till January?
Till January.
Didn't know that. Good evening. Jeff Shane on behalf of the petitioner owner, Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810. Mr. Barone's handling this matter, is out of town, and I don't think the case was ready to go even if he were in town. So if we could respectfully request a postponement until January.
January, okay. All right. get a motion on that from Commissioner Barcelona.
I'll make a motion to postpone until January.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Barcelona to postpone until January. Commissioner McInnes.
Jeff, I was just going to bring up to the commissioners, just handed out a map that shows this project is in the headwaters of Bayou Chinchuba in what's called coastal conservation area in the 2040 plan. So please be thinking about that as y'all come before us next time.
Okay.
Because we all know the challenges of that watershed downstream to a lot of neighborhoods. And, but I know it's zoned that, but I did want to bring it up.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, Commissioner Willie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to postpone to January carries.
Thank you. Helen?
Item number 8, 2022-3109, MRP. Just want to mention that it's been withdrawn.
Okay, let me read it in.
You don't need to read it.
Pardon?
It's withdrawn, you don't need to read it.
Okay.
No action to be taken.
Good.
Next request to postpone is under tentative 2022-3079 TP.
Okay, this is 2022-3079 TP. It's under tentative subdivision review. Moore Park subdivision, developer owner, Moore Park LLC, engineer is J.V. Burks and Associates Incorporated, Parish Council District Representative, Honorable Riker Toledano. General location, the property is located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 1088, west of Hickory Street, south of Interstate 12, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 5. Mr. Shane.
Jeff Shane again of the Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing the developer and owner and respectfully requesting a postponement until the December meeting.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Barcelona.
Motion to postpone until December.
Motion by Commissioner Barcelona to postpone until December. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner McInnes.
Just mentioning, it's also on the map I handed out in the coastal conservation area off of 1088. So I don't know if you guys ever drove out there before development started happening, but 1088 in that part of the world used to be like no man's land. It is just flat, wet for miles and miles. So we really need to look at maybe different ways to develop out there. So just trying to pay attention to our 2040 plan. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to postpone till our December meeting. Please vote.
The motion to postpone to December carries.
And then the next request in number 10, 2022-3081 PP.
Okay. This is under preliminary subdivision review. It's item 10. Case is 2022-3081-PP. Wrigley's Estates subdivision, Phase 3A-2, developer owner, succession of Frederick J. Segur, engineer J.V. Burks and Associates, Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable J. Carey. General location, the property is located on south of Louisiana Highway 433, west of Highway 90, Slidell, Ward 8, District 13. Mr. Shane.
Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing the developer owner and requesting postponement until the December hearing.
Okay. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Motion to postpone to the December hearing.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to postpone to the December meeting. Commissioner Barcelona.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barcelona. Please vote.
The motion to postpone to December carries.
All right. All right, we'll go back to entering the parish right-of-way, servitudes, easements, and Tammany Trace. Item 1, request to enter the parish right-of-way for Second Avenue, the Berg Boulevard subdivision for the purpose of taking soil borings and gaining access to the property. The debtor is AEW Salas Development LLC. Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable Riker Toledano. General location, the property is located east of Slimmer Road, north of Hellenberg Road, Covington, Ward 3, District 5. Staff?
Yes, sir. Staff has reviewed the submittal and the request at this time and has no additional comments. Thank you.
Okay. So, Ted, you want to repeat that? We didn't have the volume up enough.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Staff has reviewed the submittal and the associated documents at this time and has no additional comments. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Shane?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing the petitioner. This proposed, I should say this parish right-of-way is a proposed parish road that my client would construct, and it would provide access to a subdivision that it hopes to develop. We seek permission to enter the right-of-way initially to do soil borings and other tests, wetlands, etc., to see what the conditions are as to the suitability of using the right-of-way. We have reviewed the proposed resolution that staff has placed in your packet and feel confident that we can meet all of those conditions and understand the data and documents that we must submit to staff before we get actual permission to enter the right-of-way. So we request that you grant your consent this evening. If any of you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this item, either for or against? I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Barcelona.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Barcelona to approve. Commissioner Randolph.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote.
The motion to approve carries.
All right, we go to minor subdivision review. Item 2. Case is 2022-3092-MSP, a minor subdivision of tracts A and A1 into tracts A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6. The owner and representative is Corman Investments LLC, Jack Mendheim and Mark and Casey LLC, and Mark S. Hosh. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable David Fitzgerald. General location, the parcel is located at the end of Mahon Drive, west of South Fitzmaurice Road, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 5 tracts from tracts A and A1. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to the property is proposed to be subdivided into 5 parcels accessed from a proposed 50-foot access drive or right-of-way. Tracts A3 and A4 do not meet the minimum lot width of 300 feet required under the A1 suburban zoning district and requiring a waiver from the Planning Commission. Also requesting a waiver to allow for the construction of the 50-foot access drive and the required drainage prior to building permit being issued on tracts A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6. And the request shall be subject to the above requirements and also items 1 to 5.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, and you are?
I'm Jack Menheim.
Okay,
Address is P.O. Box 6558 from Folsom, Louisiana. I'm one of the co-developers that represent the application for this minor sub. And I'm here to just answer any questions or concerns that may be raised by either you guys or the crowd.
okay. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against on this item? All right, I want to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Mr. Benhine, I appreciate the zoning staying in place, the A1. I mean, I really appreciate the large lot sizes. It's a very wooded area. What's developed on the south and west sides of that property are very large lots, 3 acres, 5 acres. So I appreciate the A1 zoning staying in place.
Right.
I'll move for approval. And the only concern I had was the 50-foot right-of-way, and not concerned about that per se, but if there was any future minor subdivisions of these lots, would be a concern then. So,
Because it's not too large, or?
no, you're fine, but if somebody wants to do a subdivision of those 5 acres, are they able to do that later if they change the zoning and able to do it? To staff?
I think
No,
35 foot is required.
it would have to go through the full subdivision process.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I move for approval
With the waivers.
With the waivers.
Motion by
waiver.
Commissioner
with
Willie
the waiver.
to approve with the waivers. Commissioner Barcelona.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barcelona. I was looking at the map and everything. Where does the drainage off this go?
The drainage goes, well, we haven't done our drainage plan as of yet, but the drainage appears to me to be head south across a couple of spots that are a little lower. But one of our requirements is that we'll have to submit a drainage plan to the
Okay,
engineering office.
all right. You answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
The motion to approve with waivers carries.
Thank you. All right, we go to item 3, which is case 2022-3093-MSP, a minor subdivision of 19.93 acres into parcels A, B, C, and D. Owner and representative is Jamie L. Jenkins, trustee of the Margaret W. Lawrence Testamentary Trust. Parish Council District Representative Honorable Martha Casabon. General location, the parcel is located on the east side of Gottschall Road, south of Breen Road, Covington, Ward 1, District 3. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 4 parcels from 19.93 acres. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to the property is proposed to be subdivided into 4 parcels and access from a proposed 60-foot servitude of access, and also requesting a waiver, excuse me, to construct the 60-foot access servitude and the required drainage prior to the building permit being issued on parcels B and C instead of prior to the plat being recorded. And the request shall be subject to the above comments and also items 1 to 5.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
You are?
I'm Jamie Jenkins. You need my address?
Pardon?
My address? No? Okay. It's Jamie Jenkins.
Well, I think we've got your address
Okay.
on the
An
Paperwork here.
application.
I'm requesting the property be approved so that I can divide it after my parents passed away. It's a large parcel and I need to be able to divide it according, there's 3 houses on it currently. And so I had it surveyed in such a way to be able to make it make sense and get these homes separated into their own parcels.
Okay. All right. Do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to speak for or against on this item? I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
I move for approval with the waiver.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve with waivers. Commissioner McInnes.
I second.
second by Commissioner McInnes. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve with waivers carries.
Thank you. All right, we go to item 4, cases 2022-3108-MSP, a minor subdivision of 1.281 acres in the parcels A and B. Owner and representative, Audrey Wettig, Keith Wettig, Richard Wettig, Robert Wettig, Daniel Wettig, and Patricia Wettig Glass. Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable Michael Reno. General location and parcel located on the north and south side of Wallace Road, east of Gladys Road, Madisonville, Ward 1, District 4. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 2 parcels from 1.281 acres. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to parcels A and B do not meet the minimum lot size of 1 acre required under section 125.188 of the minor subdivision ordinance and requiring a waiver from the planning commission, and the request shall be subject to item 1.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
You are?
My name is Danny Weedig. I live at 103 Wallace Road, which is the north side of the property, for 33 years. The south side of the property, it's all one parcel. My parents have lived there for 33 years also. And on the north side, there is a mobile home, and we looking forward to one day having the possibility to build a home there where the mobile home is. Right now, it's, with it being all one piece of family property, that's not an opportunity to do. So we're just asking to have a minor subdivision where the north half I would actually own, and the southern half my parents and my siblings would own.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against on this item? Seeing no one, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission.
I just have a quick question for you. I could probably ask staff. The property's bifurcated by a road? Right, so that's all I was curious about. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzpatrick to approve. Commissioner Barcelona.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barcelona. Commissioner Smale.
Confused, it's A3, correct?
Yes,
So why does it require minimum lot size of 1 acre?
because the minor subdivision ordinance requires that the minimum lot size be 1 acre in size.
Because of the subdivision ordinance?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
The motion to approve carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we go into re-subdivision review. Item 5 was postponed, so we'll go to item 6. Case is 2022-3089 MRP, re-subdivision of parcel 5 into parcel 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D, and 5E, Hanson Meadows Farm subdivision. Owner and representative, succession of Manuel Lloyd, Dustin Lloyd, administrator, surveyor John G. Cummings and Associates, parcel Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable Martha Casabon. General location, the property is located on the south side of Handsome Meadow Lane, west of Louisiana Highway 437, Covington, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create a total of 5 parcels from parcel 5. The re-subdivision request requires a public hearing due to, as stated in the restrictive covenants of the approved plat, no lot shall be further re-subdivided without approval from the planning commission. and parcel 5D does not meet the minimum lot width of 300 feet required under the A1 suburban zoning district and requiring a waiver from the planning commission. And the request shall be subject to items 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. And you are?
I'm Dana Talley. My address is 81449 Sharp Road, Covington, 70435. This is some property that my father had, and I have 4 other siblings, so we're just trying to all decide what we're going to do with it and split it between us.
That sounds like family property to me. All right, good deal. We have some folks that would like to speak. Let's see, and these folks are requesting to speak. Is anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this? All right, come on up if you're against it, and your name is?
My name is Greg Gendry. I'm here with some of our neighbors. We all live on Handsome Meadow Lane, the property that's in question. And I first want to state that our opposition has nothing to do with the family and their interest in benefiting from their property. We all bought the property around the same time in the early 90s, and I remember Manny Lloyd at that time. We all bought the property. But the Handsome Meadow subdivision was intended to be an agricultural community of fairly large properties. That's what the restrictive covenants refer to, and it's remained that way throughout the years. Most of the properties are in excess of 10 acres. Most are, I think, are probably more in excess of 25 acres. My family, we raised cattle there for many years. One of my neighbors here boards horses. There are other people boarding horses. It truly is an agricultural community. And this re-subdivision is really against the intention of the neighborhood when it was created back in the early 90s. And I ask you to please pause on this, and if you're not in a position to reject it today, that you at least table this and study it further, because we need to understand the intention of the neighborhood. There are restrictive covenants that I don't think have been fully brought out to you. We certainly would oppose any lot size that's smaller than the suburban A1 requirements. That's even more of an insult to the intention of the neighborhood. Again, we're concerned about the density. You know, this neighborhood was designed for the parcels that were originally created. If everyone were to subdivide into 5 acres, you'd have a totally different situation in that subdivision. The roads would not be able to handle it. Each property is required to put in their own septic system and wells. It's just not intended for that kind of density. The traffic is already bad enough, as I'm sure you know and you hear quite often, along Highway 437. I know that a traffic survey was apparently done in conjunction with this. At least we saw the strips, but we've not been told anything about the results of that traffic survey. And we would like to know that, because the traffic is already a big problem. There are just so many questions that we have. You know, is this subdivision is similar to one that I'm aware of on Old Military Road called the Plantation, where you have property lots in excess of 10 acres. And that was the intention with this, and that intention is not being honored with this request. One of the neighbors, and again, I want to reiterate, it's nothing to do with the Lloyd family. I knew Manny, even though he never lived on the property, he was a good neighbor. His family, they've been good neighbors. They've kept the property nice and clean. And it's not anything with reference to them. In fact, one of our neighbors has offered to buy the property, the entire 39 acres, simply to preserve it as it is, and has offered to pay above appraised value, has offered to pay cash, and has offered, I don't know if this part of the offer is still on the table, to pay all the real estate commissions. So here you have an above appraisal offer at a time when we're obviously going into a recession, interest rates are going up, and the family really has an opportunity to sell at a high point rather than facing what I think is in the future when property values are going to be lower as a result of the recession that we appear to be going into. So we're trying to work something out. We're trying to create a situation where everyone is happy. And we ask that you reject this, or at the very least table it, so we can understand the effects, the precedent that this would be setting. If neighborhoods such as the Plantation, such as Hanson Meadow subdivision, can be divided into small 5-acre parts, then you've got something totally different than what the parish approved when the subdivision was created. You've got a high-density neighborhood with roads designed for large properties. There are only 2 roads in Hanson Meadow subdivision, and this, where we live, there's only 1 road, Hanson Meadow Lane. And if it were to change in this way, it would affect the community entirely. So we ask that you, at the very least, give us more time to try and accommodate this and work out a solution that would be acceptable and make everyone happy, because I do believe that that's possible. If you have any
Okay.
questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have a card here that the person,
She's the one that spoke in favor. Ms. Talley spoke in favor.
okay. Over here.
Dana Talley.
Yeah, okay. All right, and we have another one that's against, Mike Abear.
Thank you. I'm Mike Abear. I live on Hanson Meadow, and just like the Guidry family, we're neighbors. We've been living in that area since the 90s, and originally we purchased a property for livestock, horses. We ran a horse farm there for 20 years with up to 100 miniatures. And Barbara and her family, grandparents, had lived next door to us for that time too. We just think that the density of 5 or 6 properties on that one parcel defeats the purpose of the intention of the original subdivision. Traffic notwithstanding, we still get deliveries with horse trailers and things going in and out of there, and 5 or 6 properties with their traffic, their residential cars, trailers, would just add to the congestion, and the road is not that, made for that kind of traffic. So your consideration is appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a card that says Manuel Lloyd Estate. That's all, it doesn't have a person's name. So I'm gonna go forward with this one and say that it's been taken care of. All right, you were speaking in favor of having this?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go to rebuttal now.
I mean, look, to be honest, I don't know what we're trying to do. We're not ready to sell it. Some of us want to keep it and possibly be out there. We bought the land, like they said, I don't know, 20-something years ago. It's not even close to the 5-acre minimum. I mean, it's going to be over 7 acres apiece. It's all road frontage. We're out there all the time because we bush hog it for hay. The traffic is not bad. We all actually live out in that area right now. But, I mean, I don't really have anything to add.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate their comments and their concerns. I mean, we're just not trying to make it.
Would you have any objection? They've asked that it be postponed so that you might be able to get something worked out?
The offer that was proposed to buy it all at once, it's not something that we wanted. I mean, there's 5 of us, so some of us wanted to keep it with the intent
Okay.
on living out there.
That's fine.
So, I mean, I would like to go ahead and get the succession settled, but, I mean, if we can't get to that point, then I understand that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Those of you that are against, you have an opportunity to speak in rebuttal.
I would only say that we would appreciate.
Come to the mic.
I would only say that we would appreciate the time to discuss it with the family. If some of the heirs wish to sell and some don't, then perhaps we could come back with a different re-subdivision plan that would accommodate the ones that want to keep their land and allow the others to sell it, which would not require the property to be divided into 5 parcels. It may then be just into 2 or 3 parcels, which I can't speak for my neighbors, but I would have much less or really no objection to dividing the property into 2 or 3 pieces where it's keeping the 10-acre minimum size, which was in the intention of the neighborhood. And also, today was the first time I learned that one of the lots does not even meet the minimum frontage requirement, and we strongly object to that waiver. That's really can affect you can imagine a long skinny lot along other long skinny lots with that narrow frontage. That's very objectionable to us, and we'd like for you to postpone it because we really don't want to have to go through the appeal process or go through a lawsuit, which we would hate to do, but which our neighborhood would have to do to protect the property as it is. So we would like this opportunity, maybe if some of the heirs wish to sell and some don't, then maybe it'd be a very simple matter to change the subdivision plan to accommodate that, and then we wouldn't even have to bother you at all anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in rebuttal?
Thank you. We contacted Mr., I think it's Jenkins, Lloyd, that's the administrator for this, when the property was going through the resub process. And we were certainly in favor of, we're not opposed to this re-subdivision, but we'd like to see the 10 or 15 acre size maintained. And I mean, if they're not interested in moving onto the property, you know, we would be interested in purchasing some of the property, not all of it, but, you know, a lot of it to develop it. And that would satisfy some of the heirs that want to sell and others that don't want to sell.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in rebuttal? All right, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
The gentleman in the blue shirt, I don't remember your name. I have a question. I know this is A1 zoning, minimum 5 acres, but you mentioned a restricted covenant of
Right.
large lots. What can you? We've not rule on it. We're supposed to enforce restricted covenants here.
Right, I understand that.
I still need to answer. If you can answer that question for me, how large a lot is a restricted covenant say?
I don't know if the restrictive covenants dictate the exact size of the lots. I believe there was a mention at the preamble by your clerk mentioned the restrictive covenants, and I know that initially there were restrictive covenants, and that's something, I understand that you don't enforce those, but those could lead to litigation, and we don't, that's what we're trying to avoid, is having this thing just drug out in litigation, which would be costly for everyone that's involved. So I would ask you to at least determine what the restrictive covenants are. And I also like to point out that the re-subdivision, it was originally zoned rural when the Hanson Meadows subdivision was created. Johnny Smith was the developer at the time.
And Earl McLean was developer with it.
Right, and Earl McLean, I met Earl back in 1993. He was a nice guy. But they didn't do it all properly, and things had to be redone. And it was rezoned after the subdivision was created. So even though the suburban A1 has certain requirements, we can't ignore the fact that there were restrictive covenants and requirements initially created when the subdivision was made.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a big mess with the creation of development.
Right.
The boundary lines were in the middle of the roads and everything.
Right, and we had to come before the zoning commission at the planning commission at the time for a number of issues, because when it was rezoned, the commercial agriculture that was still taking place on the property would not be allowed, and there was a conditional use allowance for all of us to continue with commercial agriculture. Mm-hmm. And I want to reiterate that this is not some fake agricultural community. It really is an agricultural community. I raise horses now. I've raised cattle for 25 years with my father, my uncle, who lives on Camus, the other road, and people board horses and raise horses. really what the neighborhood was all about. So we went to the extent of having that conditional use put in. There was an attempt by Houston Galloway a few years later to re-subdivide his property, and we opposed that, and the planning commission at the time did not allow that re-subdivision to take place for the same reason, that that's not what the neighborhood was intended to be.
Okay. Yeah, Ms. Calzadon, the council person in that area, she mentioned there might have been a requirement for larger lots. Is staff aware of anything?
I just pulled up the plat, and it does not state on the restrictive covenants that are on the plat that there would be any other minimum lot size besides the zoning itself that dictates, the A1 dictates a 5-acre minimum. That's what I said, just what this is.
You know, it's A1 zoning, and the parcels meet, requested parcels meet the size, except for one for road frontage. But again, I would like to see the larger lots stay in place, you know, because I know that area well. And most of the lots are 20, 30, 40 acres in there. A lot of them are.
Right.
I'm going to move for postponement. Maybe you can get with the family.
I hope so.
Maybe
We'll
I can work
certainly
something
try.
out. If not, you know, we'll just have to make a decision next time.
Right.
So I move for postponement.
We have a motion by Commissioner Willie to postpone. Any specific amount of time? 1 month, okay. Commissioner McInnes.
I was going to actually move for denial because I don't think it fits the neighborhood, and this body has the right, according to the covenants, to approve, you know, it says no lot shall be further subdivided unless we approve it. And it just doesn't seem appropriate to approve it.
Well, we have a motion on the table now to
Okay,
postpone
well, I'm
it.
just letting my other commissioners know there's a second motion. And, you know, we do have one that doesn't even meet the 300-foot division. I mean, I understand the family, each person wants a piece of the land, but that's not the intent of this subdivision, and the original owners signed on to that. So I think it should be honored and keep one of the most attractive areas of the parish rural. So that's me.
Okay, Commissioner Seeger.
I have a question for staff. I'm reading the report, the comment. The free subdivision request requires a public hearing due to, and the first bullet is, no lot shall be further re-subdivided without approval from the Planning Commission. And why would that be necessary if it's not in the covenants?
No, that sentence is on the covenants.
Does it say anything about size in the covenants? Or it just
No,
says?
the minimum restrictive covenants does not refer to any particular size. They might have a separate covenants that refers to minimum lot size. However, the minimum restrictive covenants that are on the plat itself does not refer to any minimum lot size.
Am I incorrect in assuming that they didn't want these properties to be subdivided when they did so the first time? That's what I'm kind of reading into it.
This particular sentence is on all the plats, on all the subdivision plats. So when you have a subdivision plat that's, you know, approved and recorded, it's part of the requirements. And so anyone who wants to subdivide or combine lots together, it has to come in front of you for review and vote.
And that's in line, when the subdivision was created, we were required to buy a minimum amount of land. And I can't remember if it was 25 or more acres as a condition to buy. And so that restrictive covenant fits in with that, because that was the intention, was to create larger properties, and they would not be re-subdivided without having to come back and get special permission for what is a different type of a neighborhood.
That's what I'm understanding from the verbiage. Am I incorrect in that, Helen?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm,
That-
maybe
that
there's.
when they originally made this, divided this, that was approved back in the day, that they didn't want it to be subdivided?
Not necessarily, sir. It meets the minimum lot size,
Correct.
and, that's the reason why they have the right to request to re-subdivide their property. It still has to meet the minimum lot size of 5 acres. However, it has to come in front of the planning commission for review and vote.
And the original zoning was not suburban A1. When that restrictive covenant was created, it was zoned rural, so it could not have been contemplating the 5 acres, because it wasn't even zoned that way at the time. And I think that adds another level of complexity to this particular situation, that I think the pause would be well justified, because it would create a precedent for you and for the parish.
I'm going to second Commissioner Willie's motion to postpone for 1 month.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to postpone for 1 month. Commissioner Barcelona.
I have a question, I guess for either Emily or staff. As far as our review of this subdivision, are we reviewing it for compliance in accordance with the covenants? No, right?
No, well, this restrictive covenant just requires for you all to review this.
Right, but we're not performing a review to make sure it's compliant with those covenants.
No,
Okay.
you're not. You're reviewing it, and your standard of review really goes back to this purpose of zoning and planning regulations, which is in the revised statute, and goes towards whether the minor subdivision is in accordance with the comprehensive plan and designed to lessen congestion on public
Okay.
streets, secure safety from fire, promote health and general welfare, provide adequate light, avoid undue concentration of population, facilitate adequate transportation, water supply, sewage, schools, parks, and meet other public requirements,
Okay.
is your general standard of
Okay.
review.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we're not reviewing it for compliance in accordance.
Okay, there's no one else in the queue, so we have a motion and a second to postpone for 1 month. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to postpone for 1 month carries.
Okay. That gives y'all an opportunity, 30 days, and if you need additional time, you have to come back and, go through this process of possibly postponing for another month or 2 months, whatever time you need.
Thank you very much.
Okay? All right, we go to item 7. Case is 2022-3103-MRP, re-subdivision of 8.094 acres comprised of squares 50, 51, 64, 65, 74, and the north half of square 75, and the revoked portion of 6th Avenue, 7th Avenue, and F Street into parcels 50A, 64A, and 74A, Square 65, Town of Alexisville. Owners Baldwin Motors Incorporated, John T. Baldwin. Representative is Paul J. Marone. Surveyor is J.V. Burks and Associates. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable David Fitzgerald. General location, the property is located on the east side of U.S. Highway 190, south of Harrison Avenue, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create a total of 3 parcels. The re-subdivision request requires a public hearing due to parcel 74A does not meet the minimum lot width of the 80-foot required under the HC3 Highway Commercial Zoning District and requiring a waiver from the Planning Commission.
Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing Baldwin Motors, Inc., in connection with this request for a 3-lot minor subdivision. I think most, if not all of you, are familiar with the current home and longtime home of Baldwin Motors on the east side of U.S. Highway 190, just south of Harrison Avenue. This minor subdivision takes all of the land holdings of Baldwin Motors, Inc., and now will divide those properties into 3 tracts. The northerly tract, in fact, if all of you would look at the 3rd sheet, which is the proposed minor subdivision plat, the northerly tract consisting of 8.094 acres, is the current location of the Baldwin Motors dealership. The center tract that would be created is actually going to have another dealership constructed on it, and Baldwin Motors will actually move to that new location, the center parcel, and the northern parcel will now become a Subaru dealership. And the result of those plans, if you will, also leaves a remainder parcel, the southerly tract, and but for the fact that the southerly tract does not have the requisite width on U.S. Highway 190, this minor subdivision could have been done administratively. So the question is, well, why, Jeff, is the connection to 190 less than code? And that is because the owner and the development plan are working around some large and beautiful oak trees that are on the site. If some of you remember the location of the former Gallagher's restaurant just north of Steve's Ace Hardware, you may better remember some of the trees that are in that general location. So also Subaru and Lincoln, respectively, Lincoln meaning the primary make or manufacturer for Baldwin Motors, have a good bit of input into the site plan, the layout, the dimensions needed. So as a result of that, we respectfully request that the southerly lot, which is, in my view, akin to a flag lot, and I think you're all familiar with flag lots because you see them, that this lot be granted the variance to allow the frontage as seen. We don't have a current development plan for that track. We'll see what the future brings. So the essence of the request is approval of a 3-lot minor subdivision, including the specific waiver as it relates to the frontage for parcel 74A. It's actually not a minor subdivision. It is a re-subdivision of existing lots and squares in that particular existing subdivision. If any of you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Okay, well, I don't see anybody behind you, Jeff, so I'm going to
That's kind of
close it
nice
to
for
the
a
public and
change.
bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Seeger.
I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Seeger to approve with the waivers.
With the waiver?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Seeger to approve with the waivers. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Crawford.
Jeff, I just had one quick question. The part that says not a part, the south 1 to 2, is that where the trees are located? Or what is that?
The not a part is Steve's Ace Hardware.
Oh, that's the hardware, okay.
That is not a parcel that my client owns.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve with the waivers. Please vote.
The motion to approve with waivers carries.
All right, item 8 was withdrawn. And items 9 and 10 were postponed for 1 month. Do we have any new business? Do we have an adjournment? Motion to, to adjourn? All right, thank y'all. Oh, that was an hour.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Hey, Ted.